I would like to call the Public Safety Committee Tuesday, June 16th to
Cameron,
here.
Randy,
Here.
Candace, Kevin,
Here.
Tammy is absent.
All right, please stand for the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Before we get to call the comment, opening with recognition of students here for the Citizenship Award.
Yeah, so every year since I started here, we have a citizenship award that we give to our community members. We also do our kiddos as well. So at St. Francis, we have some awards at Glacier and at Park. Actually, the Park Award is named after Peanut. So we make sure that we're giving our citizens the due respect and honor that they need and deserve. And so this year, without even hesitation, it was an easy pick for us. So we have chosen you as our recipient of the Citizenship Award. And what it says on here is for making significant contributions to the Cross Plains community through his time, actions, talents, and dedication, for serving as a role model with compassion and service, for always striving to make Cross Plains a better place through teamwork and unity of purpose. Awarded to Rodney Peanut Ether.
This is for the recognition, and I'm very honored to receive. I couldn't be happier to work with Chief Coley and his officers, and a few people are the ones that recognize me in this. So, thank you so much.
Very well deserving.
Thank you so much.
Very well. Would you guys like just time for pictures, or do you, if you want, we can pause the meeting for a little bit till you come back, or if you are not planning on staying? Yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. If you guys want to take pictures, if you want to come back to the meeting, we'll kind of wait on business. Yeah, let's pause.
I'm a photographer. First, let me introduce my family.
Yeah.
This is
We'll get a picture with. Yeah. Okay, dude. Let's go right behind us. You've got that right advantage.
We're good.
We're good. I think as long as you smile, peanuts, we're good. 3, 2, 1. We'll do one more over here. All right, we're there.
You're very welcome. Thank you for coming. We'll see you around. Take care.
One more contract. For 6 days.
With that.
You're getting one more contract for 6 days.
Oh, yeah,
You'll get that soon.
there you go.
It's all volunteer.
His last day is July 6th, so for our 60 employees, for 60 days around, that's myself. My employee group. And Peanuts, that's what we, was official, daily was July 6th. So we give that.
Wow.
For 6 days.
Neat. All right.
The public comment, this is an opportunity for anyone to address the committee. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the committee encourages input from residents. It may not discuss or have committees use that.
I see no one in the room.
And I have no one online, and I did not have, I mean, Holly's online, but I have no citizens online, and I didn't receive any emails.
Moving on from there, approval of the minutes for April 21st, 2026. Do I have a motion? I'll move to approve.
And
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, the same. Report from the Public Safety Committee officers. Just date.
Starting at the next EMS board meeting, Jay is stepping down from the Village of Crosswinds representation on the EMS district, and I will be taking his place. So I will be the village representation for this group, fire board, and EMS. We just kind of thought that made sense. So, if we have, if you guys have topics for either district, I'm kind of, easy connective tissue between all three of them now. So, just let me know if anyone has anything for me to work on with EMS or fire. I have to get my feet under myself. I'm meeting with Holly tomorrow and Jay next week to kind of hand off, but after that we should be good to go. That's all I got.
Any report from any of the members?
I'll do one. I'll just read real quick. I sent this to Chief Tony following Trout Days because I missed. There was yeah. I'll just read just a couple notes. I'm not going to read the entire email. Some of it was lessons learned as well, but I at least want to read this portion, which is the Trout Days Planning Committee extends its appreciation to all village departments, emergency service partners, volunteers, sponsored businesses, nonprofits, and community members whose coordination and support contributes to the successful execution of Trout Days 2026. 26th event represented a significant operational and community milestone for the village, highlighted by the successful utilization of the new pavilion area, the increased music fest programming, as well as enhanced family and youth activities. There was increased vendor and art fair participation, and it's the first year of an expanded or first year of a beer garden operation. These additions substantially increased the event activation throughout the Creek Corridor and downtown while maintaining strong overall event management and public safety coordination. Attendance and participation exceeded expectations throughout the weekend, while overall operations, public safety, and community engagement remained very strong. A few key successes included strong partnership and coordination between volunteers, the village staff, nonprofits, sponsors, emergency services, and community organizations. There was excellent, like I said, activation and atmosphere around the pavilion and the Creek Corridor. We had a successful shuttle and road closure operations that improved pedestrian safety and event flow. There was significant regional visibility and tourism impacts for Cross Plains and the Driftless region. Strong economic activity for local businesses throughout the weekend as well. Several businesses unsolicited noted that Trout Days, as among relative to other days, the single busiest day of the year, including Remington, Crossroads, and Creekneck Food. The event also continues evolving into this marquee regional event, helping establish the first weekend of May as a destination weekend in southern Wisconsin through increased exposure, tourism calendars, festival guides, media outlets, and regional marketing. We had some. Exceeded my expectations, went smoother than, being event chair, went smoother than, I had imagined with everything I knew that was going on. Looking ahead to 27, the goal, just to throw it out there, is not to significantly expand entertainment programming and materially increase the event at this time. So, great momentum. There's recognition that there are practical limits to the current growth based on infrastructure, parking, utilities, traffic management, overall operational capacity that the village can currently accommodate. So we'll instead focus on operational refinement, infrastructure improvements, enhanced parking and traffic management, public safety coordination. There's even more that we can do. Volunteering, staffing efficiency, and maintaining a high quality attendee experience. So again, on behalf of the planning committee, thanks to the public safety and then all of those that are part of the committee, which includes all the chiefs and their folks. Really appreciate the cross-community collaboration. And it is not just putting us on the map, we are on the map for a destination, and that event is just one of the reasons. So thank you.
Any other members of the board? Do not have any special guests. We're going to move on to the first responders. You do the report for us?
Yeah.
My turn. The EMS has a signed agreement, like Cameron said, and we are very excited for that. We are looking at getting more territory. The town of Springfield is looking at giving us Martinsville, both sides of Highway P all the way to 12. And I talked with the town of Barry last night, and Dane County is doing some numbers for us to see if we're closer and faster than District 1, and we may take some territory from the town of Barry. For May, we had 71 calls, which is a record for us, and so far 239 calls since the end of May, or total for the year so far. Our interfacility transport started, and we've already received like 13 calls from Sauk Hospital to transport people. That's what we're doing with the older rig. Community EMS, both myself and Deputy Chief, our license has been approved. We're just waiting for the state to approve our Cross Plains license, and then we will start community EMS.
Let's see Matt online, or not Matt, Justin. I struggle because I have a Matt Radke I work with, and then he's Justin.
Yeah, he is unable to be here, and he didn't provide a report, so I'm just writing down no report. Okay, Cross Plains, we're just about to 3,000 calls for service, which last year we had 4,800, which was a record for us by a lot, by about 700 calls. So we're in 1,000 now, right?
Last year,
That's 4,800. 40
The start date is
January 1st. So we're well in line to beat that total. With that, I'm going to really start pushing the board. We are way understaffed for the call volume that we have. It's become a public safety issue. I mean, I've been saying this since I started here because there was just an increase, but just recently we've had an increase in drug issues, overdoses. We've had a couple of violent cases where officers have been attacked. So things are getting worse. We need staff, even if it is just one staff member would help us get closer to 24-hour coverage. Two would pretty much get us to 24-hour coverage. And we need to get to 24-hour coverage.
And we don't, like, we're still building.
And we're still building,
Still building, so,
right.
you know.
I mean, when I first started, the two big subdivisions had not developed yet. I mean, the lots were still being thought of. There's still processes. Those are full. Those are people. Those are, more calls for service for sure. We haven't even started anything with Marchstone. So we need to prepare, and it's not super easy to do because when you hire someone, it's not, I'm still in the process. We're done with the hiring process, but now the person has to go to the academy. So I'm not going to get that officer out of the academy till December. Academy only happens twice a year. So, and they got to go away for quite a bit of time. So that officer will be gone from August to December to the academy. Then we still got to run them through field training, which is another additional, 8 to 12 weeks, depending on how fast they catch up. So to ultimately have this new officer on the road, it'll be April. With, that we're then confident that he's able to handle all the calls. Well, we've been without an officer for a year. So you think of just the processes that it takes. They need to start acting now. And so I know it's on the agenda here regarding providing a letter from, addressed from this committee, but I'm really going to make a push for this. They seriously need to consider this. During the storms alone, we had 18 calls just within a 2-hour period. Dane County gets a lot of calls. They're dealing, but they have a lot of staff, and we don't have that kind of staff. We had one person on, who's me, and I had to handle 17 calls, so some things had to wait. Well, it won't be long before you're dealing with something major and then something else major comes in. And we just don't have the staffing to do that. And it's become a safety concern. I mean, we're at a safety concern. So
Chief
it's just a
Tony?
matter of time before, yes,
Can I just say something?
yes.
Cross Plains is really lucky to have the officers that we do. Just for example, District 1 EMS does not have a police department. Not only is it the safety for the community, but it's safety for EMS and fire also. I don't know if the public realizes that if a Cross Plains officer is available, they come to all of our calls.
Mhm.
And if you can just think about going into somebody's house that may have guns or drugs or whatever, there's that safety feature there. Yes, we're supposed to watch out for our own safety, but working with the Cross Plains Police Department and having them have our backs while we're trying to give medical aid to somebody is, you have no idea how lucky Cross Plains is, because there's a lot of smaller places that don't have their own police department. And I really think this is so important to have 24-hour coverage for Cross Plains.
Right. Well, and our process right now, which is, we're keeping it going, but the process is as soon as we come on duty, we check what happened in the community while we are off. So the sheriff's department would have probably handled most of those calls. Sometimes we've had calls that are holding for us to come on, them knowing that we're coming on, but because they have their own calls. So there's been calls holding in the queue. We come on and it's a 3-hour delay to a response. Now, those aren't major calls, but people still, for them, that's a major call. It might not be nothing major, in the sense of policing, but they're calling us, they expect a response. And so then when you call and get a hold of them, they're like, what took you so long? Now we're dealing with that frustration. But we follow up on all those calls. Anything major that happened in the community, we make an open record request. We get a copy of their report, everything they've done, and we pick it up from there. So that way the community has us as their go-to. I mean, if decisions were already made, there's nothing we can do about those decisions. However, we can then provide resources and help guide those investigations. So we're doing our very best to maintain that, but it's definitely a safety concern at this point. And I'm not going to be able to stress it enough. And so I think we need to move forward on this. that's pretty much all I have regarding reporting. We have 3,000 calls. The new officers set to go to the academy here in August. We should get them by December, and then just the increase in some of the calls. Just this week alone, we probably had 6 or 7 serious calls for service that aren't just you show up and deal with it and leave. It's, we've had a couple overdoses, and we've had a violent attack on one of our officers. Yeah, it's it's not okay. So that's my report.
Moving on to discussion topics, discussion and possible action regarding village ordinance. Chapter 51. So is there this one? This is the parking in front of mailboxes. And this is a meeting I think we'll talk about. The original complaint, a resident by the library, never delivered a car in front of their mailbox, and so they're asking
Village could do. We talked about kind of painting areas in front of mailboxes, and that didn't seem very feasible. And so this was the next item from our last meeting, was to look into doing what other communities do, which is to bake in actual language about parking by mailboxes, because there's nothing protecting that outside of local government.
Says we can't park in front of the mailbox, but cities and municipalities take it upon themselves to create ordinances for that. So my action item was to do research and to come back with some recommendations. I did some research.
Middleton does have an ordinance for parking in front of mailboxes.
See that.
Okay.
That looks good.
The quick little table that has some of the differences between them, because now that it goes to every municipality, there are slight differences, so Middleton has 4 feet from the mailbox, Franklin has 4 feet on either side.
Success and
etc. So I kind of took that.
And just, we can discuss it. If you're looking at the printed one, that's going to be hard to see. That's because I have
Number 4, the proposed changes to section 51.
There's the green for like added stuff. Like it's really just weak. Yeah. I have a slightly different color on paper copy. But D, that new giant paragraph, was the suggested addition based on the city of Franklin and the city of Middleton stuff. And also this
We had suggested in the last meeting that we do a D, because that made the most sense in the order of the entire ordinance with the other things in there. And then the only other change is like a quick
thing where D used to be referenced to then all of split down, so that's the other thing that you see on the other sections here is just updating these things that were referenced in letters because of that one. So the thing is what we should discuss here, the inspection for your parking mailboxes. Hold on.
So for sake of process, I mean, I've read it a couple times. I don't see any issues with it. For sake of process, anything with ordinances should probably go to our attorney. I mean, you guys could make a recommendation that this be moved to the attorney, and then from there move to village board for full consideration. That could be the motion. Just so he can have a once look, because ultimately they're going to ask him anyway.
I'll make that.
Attorney and village board, so it doesn't have to come back here.
Yeah, let's.
And I'll do that.
I just think we should be very clear.
Mhm. Sure.
Uh-huh.
Here. Silence. Nothing here. It's a difference. It's not a huge amount.
Yeah, it's a parking
It's a
violation.
Right.
Same thing as
Is
snow.
that the same?
Snow, it's the same thing as snow, yeah. So it's a $20 ticket, it still goes to court, and that's pretty much.
I want to be transparent. Where is that in the department?
There's habitual spots where it's happening. You think they're taking care of them. That's another one.
All right,
All right, motion in a second, and I guess that was discussion, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same.
all right. I can take the second one. I did include some emails, so we can go through it all. So Cameron took his time to look through all the packages, which you got a copy of it, regarding anything that this committee has referred on since 2020, going all the way through 2026. So after he went through and looked at all the packets, I then went to every location and confirmed whether it had been done or not. Some things were easy to confirm, like body camera program, less than lethal. Obviously, we got all those things. And ultimately, I decided I would just write a memo because I didn't know where this would go. But since this was posted on our on the site, and it was obviously it was sent to the community. Well, Carly looked at it and she did some follow-up. I had already had a conversation with village administrator regarding this to see how we're going to address this now, if there were a bunch of issues, and what we're doing in the future. So I received some emails which I attached to that packet that I gave you. And basically, if you look at all of them, we can kind of go through them all. But the number 3, which in my memo, the number 3, the 3-way stop is addressed by Carly. They've paid the invoices. The signs need to be erected, but the signs are in. I did see an email exchange between Matt and PI regarding timelines and stuff. So that's moving forward. So I don't think that no longer is a concern. March 17th, the sensory impaired signs, again, invoices have been paid for those signs. The signs still need to be erected. So the signs are in. It looks like those things are just kind of figuring out location. So again, I think that the 317, my item 4, no longer needs to be addressed. I think it's moving forward. I think we'll see those up. The 421 topic, which is the e-bikes. The ordinance was referred to Parks and Rec like we thought it would be. It sounds like by the email that the Parks and Rec took this on yesterday. So this was before I sent you the memo, before I even this is after I posted the agenda and before I did or after I did the memo. So Kane is compiling recommendations and we'll provide those to you and Cameron at some point. So it ultimately may come back to this committee about the e-bikes, but we'll wait on the recommendations that the committee has talked about. So I think that that topic can hold fire. There's not much to do. The fireworks ordinance, it sounds like the ordinance amendments were approved by village board, which I was there. I know they were approved and sent to Attorney Johnson for formatting. So it's just a matter of time to do that. So item 6 in my memo is done. You'll also see then we got two more, or we got another email, and this is, she's got the date is wrong. It's not, and maybe I got the date wrong, but either way, in September 2025, board approved the yellow painting of the curb. That has been done because I went and checked it. Um, they still need to do the stop bar. Now that basically they said now that we are back to full staff, I will move it up on the priority list, is what was the note from Matt. So I don't know how we want to address this. Do we just leave it there and then at some point just keep checking on it? I don't think anything further needs to be done. It's in their radar and I'm sure it'll get done.
Just one quick thing for this group to, I know the table had a lot of stuff on it. Did like the table on the printed version, but it took a long time to go through the minutes of all the board meetings and all the safety meetings and like cross-reference and figure out which things that talk about. So it doesn't have to be done like here in this meeting, but I would appreciate if someone who's been in the public safety committee for a while could make sure something wasn't missed. Like if you're like, I swear we recommended refer something to the board. And I haven't heard anything on that. The like likelihood I missed something is very high because these are like scanned images, so I had to read all of them. It took a very, very long time. So again, not in this meeting, but that would be something maybe between meetings and then to email Chief Tony and me if you have something that is missing that you remember should be being dealt with. And then at the very bottom, again, it's a separate table, but it didn't print out that way. But where it
Oh,
yeah.
I know.
But there's this bottom part here. If that was like a separate table, those were the things I found that public safety spoke about, or had something that looked like it referred it to the village board, but then I didn't follow up from the village board and then.
Like from 2020.
It's under 2020, it's
Yeah.
past 26. Okay, so I can address some of these. So remove right turn, no stop sign at Brewery Road. They were not going to do that. What they did, they put up those flags. Whoever was on that committee, remember, there's some flags now that are kind of old now, and they may have been, yeah, it's been like 6 years ago. So it's I think they faded away. They're probably gone by now. But remember we were getting those complaints, people kind of blowing through that stop sign. We've made several traffic stops there, so I think that basically is the way they dealt with it. The village-wide dog leash ordinance already exists. They discussed that and they ended up making that where it was a 10 foot leash. They had people in the audience, so that was addressed at some point and updated. So because we enforce it now, so the dog leash ordinance was definitely dealt with. Season removal of wooden enclosures, though that is like near Ice Age Trail. They take them off and on, so they seasonally do that. In the wintertime, they just want to prevent something smacking that really expensive thing. So that's been done. There wasn't a formal action. It's just, I think they just said, hey, make sure you're putting up those things and taking them down. I think it was more of direction, but not a decision like you have to do it. It was more coming from the administrator at the time. The rotate and relocate of light poles, I don't remember. I remember that being a topic. I don't remember what they did, but I thought I can almost hear Jay saying, well, just flip them. Like, because all it was to provide more lighting in the park. And so much, and can we do it without And that was discussed at village board at some point. What I almost think that that was just a directive to just get it done. Like there wasn't anything.
So that's the only.
Yeah. Maybe
And it happened.
yeah, it could. Right.
So.
Yeah, they're still the same way.
Right.
Right.
So.
So I think, I mean, I can reduce this to writing for Carly, say we need to address that topic. At some, I remember at somewhere it was discussed to flip them, and it wasn't, it was recommended from us to do it. And I don't know where it went from there. Right. I don't think so either. I think it was just told to just do it. Right. I'm almost wondering if this was one of the meetings that Jay attended. Because Jay attended a couple meetings here. I'm just wondering if that, and then it just kind of fell. Yeah, because I almost remember also Michael talking about it. Like, I almost feel like maybe it wasn't board, but somewhere.
I will double check then and make sure that
Right. Okay, so then I don't need to do anything. Okay, and then the only other one left. So everything on my memo has been covered. I think we'll be fine. The only thing left is that the board, I remember when this was a hot topic for us, because we got complaints and we had people fall in the boardwalk. And so lighting at the boardwalk became a topic. And I remember us, yeah, we had
Was
Doug, yes. And it got, from the board, it got referred to Mike Axon and Parks to look at grant funding and work with students and do something. That's where it died. It never went any further. So I think that's something maybe you could just email Sarah and just, because that was a safety topic back then, but I know it was a cost topic too, because when they built the boardwalk, they had considered putting lighting on. It's what I found historically. I definitely, that went through the whole process, but it went from a board decision to referral to Parks, kind of like e-bikes. So it died at Parks. So I think I'm satisfied with this. I do agree. Maybe, you guys can gander through the list, and if something jumps out that like, oh, wait, just email. If we don't hear from you, we'll just assume you didn't find anything new. And so that leaves us back to just the two referrals, or the boardwalk and this light pole. That basically it. And then we'll wait on the e-bikes. So besides those things that I think will be easily handled by an email, I really don't think anything, there's not something that this committee needs to send, a scathing email, like, or a letter saying, hey, what's up with all these 20 things that should have been done?
So it's safe to assume that current status, those items that don't have check marks.
Yeah, they're all good.
So I can't remember what day I'll do this, but I just put check marks on the things that we
I physically went there.
So I was like, put X's on things that I know you've been done.
Right.
I did check the stop on, and I know the sign, and they were not addressed when I put this together and said it's something that.
Yeah, that one's out. Yeah.
So those are the X's, but they shouldn't have access now. They just have access when.
Yeah, everything so that's why I prepared the memo to clean it all up so it makes sense for you guys.
Nothing aside from the very long
And then just for future, what my plan is, once we recommend something, I have to do a memo anyway to the board. Once the board approves it, in order to prevent it from falling through the cracks, I'm gonna start an Excel document that'll give the date and time that was approved. And then I'm going to document that I have sent them an email, whatever department is affected. Usually it's gonna be public facilities, and then copy Carly on it. So that way we'll have a record and we don't have to go through all of this again, or the next guy doesn't have to. And so once it's approved, I'll have a little slot that says approved, and once it's done, I'll put done, and then I mean, if you don't hear about it, then, that means it's been done. If it becomes a topic that something's not getting done, then I will have, Cameron should address that with the village administrator. I'm not gonna pit myself against public facilities over these topics, because he's busy and he gets understaffed and he gets overworked, and that's just not fair, and it's not good for us when we're trying to build, good, strong relationships. I think that's something that the chairman can say, hey, we approve this, and then Carly being the lead of all department heads, she can direct those things. But I'm not gonna approach Matt and say, hey, why aren't you done with it? I think that's beyond my scope of my job in this committee. If it's a safety thing, yeah, I would definitely quickly address it, but I don't foresee that I don't believe that any of this was ignored or had been ignored intentionally. Um, I think that, it's just a lot. Well, you look at the list, it's just, I mean, right, right, right. When I started here, I remember I got pulled into the office by the village president and the administrator at the time and said, we have a laundry list that needs to go to public safety. It hasn't been addressed. So I remember the original members, and we went through them a little bit at a time and then all the other additional programs. So this committee has been highly active and in addressing public safety issues. And so I think we're in a really good spot. There's a couple of things that Cameron can address quickly and not have anything major from here, and we'll wait on the e-bikes. Otherwise, I'm going to establish a process for myself, and so we don't have to have Cameron or anybody else go through all this. We will have the approvals, and that's it. So that should fix it, I guess.
Thanks for all that work to get caught up.
Yeah,
Process definitely
right. Yeah, I think and it will be easy to maintain because then, it gets approved and you just know.
Minute quotes from public safety meetings spent 109.
I believe it because
We're here, something like that.
yeah. Well, especially big topics like body cameras and well, body cameras had like four ATV. That was right away. Yeah, I think if you would have gone,
It wasn't much before that, because I've been on the committee since 2015. They met once a year.
yeah, and things just went to the side. And when I got here, I remember it was a list of like 20 some topics. Some of them had addressed themselves because nobody addressed them. But I mean, I remember those first few meetings, and then we needed to clean that up before I could bring in like major programming like tasers and less than lethal, because we had so much to just catch up. So I did appreciate the committee's work on that because it was a lot. So anyway, I think we're in a good spot. I think we have a good plan moving forward. No, just
On next topic, discussion and possible action regarding
recommendation.
Oh, okay, anymore. I know I'm looking, but I'm sorry. It's still from last meeting.
I don't think I got a paper copy anymore.
Front page. Right there.
Oh.
Yes. No.
There you go.
Was that applicable?
Then where would be an action? Free, because that's the.
We should be on,
First, yeah.
okay.
Possible action regarding recommendation from the public safety committee officer position.
Yeah.
Okay, so a couple things. Because we talk about this a lot, and there's nobody at this table that doesn't think. So, but I also think part of this needs to be, we need to understand what's the number. What is the number of officers to consistently be a 24-hour service? Because if we add one, we add one. That's just like, that's the way it was in my part. I was constantly hiring and I didn't expect that because it was a small agency. They wanted them to go and go. We absolutely want. Like this, I would love if we could make a recommendation saying based on what we think, in the long run, this is where the staff system have 24-hour coverage. We have to hire. I wish we could hire one right now through a shorter training period going, but that's not a reality. But I think at some point, future planning, we need to lay this out and say, well, what is really the number? What's the staff level?
Right. Well, like Marshall's 24 hours, they have 9 staff members, so 9 full-time, including the chief.
What do they work? What kind of shift rotation?
They're working the 11s and 12s. So there's a lot more coverage because of the longer hour overlap. But again, when someone takes off, they take off that whole shift. So it kind of goes back and forth. I think we could easily, that's what the officers want to go to, is that 11-hour schedule. Yeah, right. But we just can't do it because, right. Well, we can't do it because we don't have the staff. Like if we lose anybody, we can't do it. So me personally, I think right now we're sitting at 3-6 full-time. If we could add 2, including with myself, that would be 8. I think we could. Right now we have 6 full-time officers. That's what we have at our department. So I think if we added 2, we would be able to cover 24 hours.
So just to clarify then. Current population, current number of call volume.
I mean, we have a bigger population than Marshall. I mean,
So we have 6.
we have 6.
Recommendations are 24/7.
But at least
And
you
the
need
staff
2.
appropriately based on call volume and our population size.
Right.
Would be 2.
Yeah.
That's equal.
I think if you added 2, we would consistently have 24-hour coverage.
What's the shift?
Right now, right.
3-6.
Yeah, right now we have a 6-3 rotation, so they're on 6 days and out 3 days.
That's kind of
And that's the standard,
schedule.
right? And the shifts would be 6A to 2P, 2P to 10P, 10P to 6A.
Yeah, so they're.
So 8-hour shifts. So that's the way it normally works. If we stayed on a 6-3 rotation and added 2, we definitely would be able to cover, because then you'd have overlaps. So you'd have people stagnated inside, and so if somebody took off, you just slide them to either front or right, or if you or ill or whatever, you'd have coverage. I think with 8, I still would have to handle calls from time to time, which is fine. I don't have an issue with that. I think it's just become a lot for investigations, administration, calls for service. Right now we're down 1. So if we have someone at training, we're down 2. If somebody's sick, we're down 2. It's a lot. So you go from 6 staff to 4 staff trying to cover everything. That, we have more call volumes than Marshall. So and they have 9. So, it's not doable anymore. How we're doing it is a lot of overtime. So my staff right now, we have $18,000 to use on overtime. They're down to 8,000. They've used 10,000 in just the first 6 months. So they're covering it. They're coming in, and that's not sustainable because, right, you get burnt out and then, and you make mistakes, you get tired. all of those things, like it becomes a topic. The other thing that's been helping is I've been working an average of 300 to 400 extra hours every year to cover those things. Well, that's not sustainable either because the next chief's not, if you do the math, I'm making less than some of my staff if they're working overtime. Like it if you do the math and add those hours to my hours. So that's not sustainable. We have a part-time officer and that we have about $12,000 in part-time hours. We can add more part-time officers. I did run a part-time officer hiring and I got nobody. So the problem with us is that we're not sending a, like it would be great if we were developing people here, like that we sent to the academy and then came back to part-time. It'd be nice if we did that for even part-time staff, because then we'd have plenty. They'd all, if we sponsored them, that right. And that's maybe where we're at, where then everybody's part-time and we're gonna have them here part-time until they get hired full-time because that's what they're doing. So there's that. We have a part-time officer who thankfully works a lot of hours, but again, we had $12,000. I think he's already used up 8 of that, covering calls and covering shifts. So you do the math, it would lower our overtime by having these staff members because then you don't have to have the overtime. And in a way, it saves them. Like it doesn't where they're overworked and overtired, they take vacation. Right. Well, and I don't deny a single day of vacation. I haven't denied one single day, but that means we have to pick up when somebody takes off.
Someone's got to cover it. Yeah.
And I think it's important. So really, are they taking vacation? You think about it. For instance, one of the officers is gone right now for 10 days, but he's worked so much overtime that he really didn't have a vacation because all he's doing is off now, but he worked all those extra days. So yes, he's getting paid, but money isn't everything. People prefer their time and that kind of thing. So yeah.
What do we need to do? Because to me, I don't know. It's not, this isn't elementary. I don't mean it to be, condescending, but this is just a skilled staffing model issue that we have.
That's where
And how can we help as a committee something that hasn't gained traction through channels to date?
Well, and they've talked about it and they've made, there was a motion that anything additional staff would go to the police department. I mean, that was done 3 years ago. It's just time that and I know they know it's not like it's falling on deaf ears. They know, and they know we're adding Marchstone. And I mean, I think.
I mean, money though too, like,
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
like,
Right.
what's the basis? Are we attracting new people?
What we budget for.
I don't know it off the top of my head, but it's like $100,000 when you include wage and benefits.
That's for one.
Yeah.
That's one.
So that's the problem at the board level. I have to go back and look at the 2026 budget and figure out you're not 200.
Yeah.
And technically, if you save the 26 in OT plus part-time officer, you're looking at 84 total. Like if you take I'm sorry, 184. So that's the problem, is there definitely is not 184 that we can use in the operating budget. And so
And then carrying it on.
and then carry it on. So the number details there's 2 options. We would have to reduce current staff in other places to get that back.
Or there's, and this is fine, but there's referendum to go past the state, but now that's a vote by the public, et cetera, which I want to be clear, I would fully support all of that. And I think this is kind of getting to my point here. Like, I think, this is the politics part here, which is persuasion. And I think there's got to be a fair amount of elbow grease that this group puts in to, I don't think we can just write a letter and say, we, the Public Safety Committee, you know, based on, you know, the current state of the world, believe we need to add 2 more officers to get to 24/7 coverage. Like that isn't gonna do it. I don't think that's gonna move any needles. I don't know what we need to do, but I think it needs to be bigger.
Right, I mean, I think like ideally, if we're trying to like move this along,
Mhm.
it's already June,
Yeah.
we have to.
I don't know if it's
All,
feasible, yeah.
there's a date. I can't remember the date, I wanna say something in August, but I don't know what happens before,
Right.
right? Like, so there's a lot of work to be done if it's, if we're talking
I
about
mean,
Random.
I
I
mean,
do think this community alone, Cross Plains. I. If it came to 24-hour coverage, I personally think Cross Plains would support that.
I think
But
so.
there's, I mean, I just think so, but there's other things out there in the works for referendums in November too, so I don't know. You know, when it comes to our community, so. But I think, but I don't know if it's too late or not, I think it's, I do know there's a date, but I don't know anything. I don't know, leading up to that date, what needs to be done, and it's already mid-June.
So we'll back up to, so we have a new hire that's going to be,
Mhm.
is that number 6?
Yeah, that's our 6. So right now we've been running on 5.
So
That's not an addition. That's just replacing one.
And see, that's what we're gonna run into, or staff, we're going to have. That's just fun, yeah.
Right. I already know we're gonna have a retirement next year. So, I mean, next year. Right.
It's
So
never gonna go away, we will hire.
But that's why I think that's why I think there needs to be a big hiring boost, like 2 right away, besides whatever you're doing. And not, I mean, that would be ideal. But I'll be honest with you, if I got them to just agree to what they already had approved, which is 1, I'd be happy with that, just to get us to 7. And then maybe open the pool up a little more money for part-timers. You know, maybe something like that where we can increase the funding and maybe add part-timers until we can get another one and then trickle it along. Maybe you do a long-range plan, like, okay, 1 now and 1 in a couple years. I don't know. Yeah.
So we're talking about currently right now, in order for us to be comfortable maintaining 24/7, we staff for the village based on call volume and population size. We're down to.
We're down 2.
We're down. I mean, that's just like.
Right.
Look, we're down 2. And as a result of that, here's financially and the strain that's putting over time. Lay the facts out. That's current state. Then you go to achieve desired state, or, and this is not desired state based on current population, all things being constant. Then we get to what's not constant is growth. So that's later. But to get to constant, then, or to get to coverage for where we're at right now, you just build, I mean, presentation on the facts. Comparables to other communities, if that helps. The pros and the cons and the strengths that I talked about, but I wouldn't go with dollars. I know it's quick. You want to jump into dollars. To me, you've got to build a business case on the risk, and that, I mean, it's like anything that we do. You have to paint the picture before you can ask for the money.
We need both. Even if you did the first part of the presentation.
How do they control the person? Their first question is be how.
I'm less about the board. I'm more about the people in the village that the police are protecting.
I totally agree.
It's gotta be a ground.
That's if we do the referendum.
I agree, but that's why I think
I would say regardless.
if we could go the referendum,
I mean,
it would be in support of that.
village trustees are supposed to represent the popular voice.
There's also,
I'm not just throwing that out there. It's not about the reality.
It's a reality, but. You know, yeah, it comes in first.
There's one thing that would drive a full meeting like we saw last Monday.
but even if you get into the math, and I do this all the time, you reduce it to the ridiculous. When you take what that cost is, and you divide it out over the average household, and it turns out to be $35. I don't know what the number is. Whatever. Let's say it's $100 a year. Divided by 12. To protect everybody.
That's where I get on just the budget piece of it, is when you put it in practical terms like that for the village. Yeah, I do it.
No, I agree, but I want to be clear. The board all wants 1 month or 2 hours. I would guarantee if we had the power, the board tomorrow would vote to join the statement, but I think there would be 4 votes.
Oh, yeah.
To get to 24-hour police coverage, whatever it would take, if we could just do it. We can't just do it because the state blocks us on that, so it's not as easy as just
Here's what your property tax increase, that argument would have to be bundled into the referendum part of it. Which again, I would love to go that route, and I'm not dissuading us, but that is the elbow grease route. That is work for us and for other people in the community to get them involved, to get it on the ballot on time, which I don't even know if is possible this year.
Mid-June, so we're not in November, I think that's.
I think everything you guys are saying here.
And I will do everything I can to help, but we got a road ahead of us here.
I don't think we have enough time to prepare for a referendum. I think that would be a next year, that would be a next thing. But I think, so why not give them, here, the train is coming kind of letter from this committee that that next year, by then the building is done, and we fully would support a referendum. Otherwise, you need to find the funding source to go to 24 hours. We can't keep continuing to build on the community. That is also part of those conversations at Marchstone is, can you guys support the infrastructure? Can you guys support fire, EMS, police? Can you support everything that's coming? It's great to add, and I'm all for it. And I've been for it the whole time. But okay, how do we, 4 or 5 officers can't handle everything that's coming in? Like that's just too much. We're not handling it right now. It's at our, right.
And not think about the infrastructure.
Right.
Issues.
Right.
All
So,
of that, I think you're coming out of that meeting.
no, and I think it's there. It's been brought up, but it's not addressed. It maybe should have been at that meeting. But I believe Marchstone was coming no matter what. I just think, okay, at what cost? It's something else. Right. Yeah. Yeah, it's coming. Right. So to me, I think we're too far behind you want to do it right because you only get one swing at it. So for referendum, but I do think that coming from this committee saying, hey, we're starting to see some public safety stuff. I can express, kind of some numbers and that kind of thing. But getting in front of them. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I'm still thinking something that'll go, something that a little bit more fast. The numbers, I think that's going to be also shared needed for a conversation. Like, I think numbers too, even if you just send me the lab reports, maybe you've done some. That shows like how long and visual.
Yeah.
People looking for support from us. I think maybe even potentially going to the finance committee and saying, this is what they were doing with the pool, right? Is they're kind of gauge on what the operating costs would be for a new one. Right? We should engage the finance committee and say, public safety sees that 24-hour discovery is needed. We need the finance committee to look at options. And obviously, you get
Testimonial, you get the finance committee, options they recommend. So
I think that kind of has to turn into it.
So what are the next steps, I guess?
And that's just, I'm sorry, that's just my.
I think we all have different approaches, but to me, to take the same channel year over year and to get no traction is not working.
No,
And I agree with you, that. Yes, I'm maybe saying, yeah, the media right the board is the same channel, we can just keep saying, but at least since I've been on the board, you know, hasn't manifested from more than like a, you know, a recommendation, you know, from this group or I was say, or, you know, when we get to budget time, I mean, you will clearly state, I need someone. But like that clearly isn't enough. That isn't getting people to stay focused on.
my plan is always when we do the budget, there's an opportunity, once the budget memo comes out and kind of foregoing plans, we get an opportunity through a memo to say, okay, this is our budget, I get it, but I'm going to need this much budget to increase, you know. So my plan was, if this committee is okay with it, if no letter needs to come, but to create a memo that would basically have the cost for 2 officers, and that would be the recommendation. They routinely compare us to Marshall. So I will, you know, pull some numbers from talking to the chief there, how many they use, what scheduling is like, with those kind of things, and their coverage, how many calls they get. We're close to population size, and this is just us now. And I think adding that March zone is coming, and that's going to add a significant amount of more people. So, and then get it to the board. Hopefully they're not going to vote on it, but maybe then the recommendation is, okay, send this to finance, kind of like what we did with e-bikes. So I can bring it. So the real budget work starts in September. So usually June, July, we start working capital improvement stuff and that kind of stuff. But the budget with regards to staffing usually starts September, October. So, I mean, I think we had a plan to maybe forego a couple meetings, July and August. I think that's a good idea. Give us a break. We've done a lot of work, as we noted today. September, I can come with the memo. So you guys can weigh in. Meanwhile, you guys can also, you know, send emails with ideas or whatever that you think need to be incorporated in that memo. I'll bring the memo that I would be sharing with the board, and it'll be timely because then I'll get it on the last September meeting of the agenda. I'll just get that memo to them requesting that, if it makes sense in their timeline, because sometimes they've extended it where September wasn't the meeting month, so then now with 2 meetings, it might be October. So there might be opportunities, but pretty much getting it to this committee to then approve my memo with the recommendation to add 2 officers, and this is what it's going to cost. It covers cost, covers numbers, covers all of the things. That was my plan after you guys sent a letter of, you know, basically saying you know, this is what we want. We don't need to do the letter. I mean, the memo is the process that they take anyway.
And I think it's, and if we were thinking about this year.
All right.
But
Well,
right. All of the stuff to be rolling through.
Right.
Past, you know, November, December, and, you know, maybe 27 years.
Well, maybe the letter could either be the start, or after there's a recommendation of the memo that we've sent, then the letter can come afterwards.
Do one or the other. Like I would have no problem writing a letter the next week and saying, here's the next actions that are going to be taken. Coming on public safety committee is a recurring topic. Recommendations coming forth from Chief Tony, roughly this date. It will be reviewed and supported by the public safety committee. And we will, for me, this is just me, I would run this up to flagpole publicly. That's my preference. That's how I roll.
That's what the publics have the right to.
But the facts are not out there. people think that we have 24.
Oh, absolutely they do.
And they
But-
think that.
but- But I'm telling you, yeah, yeah, it depends on who you ask. So the majority of the community that is from town, so local people know that we don't have 24-hour village because anybody new thinks because and the smoking mirror, which is going to be part of my memo or my conversations, smoking mirrors that we pick up the slack. So those few hours where somebody wasn't on, we're coming in from behind and picking it up. So they think we were always working on it. That's the difference. That's what's causing it. So people still that have moved here are 24 hours. So when we say it, well, nobody will be on from this time to this time. First of all, it creates a ambiance of burglary. So I'll give you, for instance, we just had one of our churches got burglarized. We weren't here. Now we've solved it because we worked the heck out of that case until we solved it. But there was nobody on to take that initial call or to even try to prevent it. Like that's the thing that I try to express to the officers. That's why I make them drive on every street every night. You don't know what you're preventing just by driving up the street. People see you and they're like, ew, they're out, But if you're parked here outside, then they know you're here. If there's no cars parked out here, they know no one's on. So all the times that cars have been broken into have been where no one's on. Criminals know, okay, where's the PD? They know, hey, they're not on. Let's, so we're creating targets also by not being present. We've been strategic at times. We've parked squad cars. You've seen them when we haven't been on, especially on big day events like antique days. We don't have anybody on all the time, but I park a squad car down there. Gives that police are down here checking on the cars. Same thing with the wood that was up here at the church, for their bed build. We put a squad in there. Why? Because it just creates that, okay, so there's a squad here. It's just smoking mirrors. I mean, the reality is that we're constantly working from behind the 8 ball if we're not on. If we had someone on, it's immediate response. It's immediate taking care of that situation. And if it's something major, it's a phone call to me, to Matt, to, hey, we're going to need help. This is
We're not going to belabor this or
Right.
be bullish on this. So to me, I'm not looking to take on something more, but it's appalling to me that we have this situation year over year.
Right.
And I think it's totally unacceptable, and I don't think the average resident knows that.
Mhm.
And it's frustrating for me to know that it's not being addressed, and I'm not putting this on YouTube. It's frustrating for me to know that the village as a whole has not addressed this.
Right.
And now we're in a situation where more housing, we've already exasperated resources, we're down to from what I think most people assume is adequate coverage. And now we're in a almost 24-month ongoing cycle of trying to recruit in place. And we're talking about adding, a lot of
homes.
Right.
So the fact that this is even something that the public safety committee, let alone we have to think about doing a grassroots effort on, that because it's not been addressed nor is being discussed, and I don't see it on the agendas.
Right.
Drives me nuts. It's put it out there.
This is government, right? I mean, I agree with everything
You're saying, but if,
you want something to move along.
I mean, royal you, really not you, Kevin.
There needs to be a sponsor actively working on it, otherwise. The village has been at 5.
And I'm not talking about the board, Carly and Chief Tony and Matt and all the department, they got 10 billion things, other things that they can't get to. So if there isn't someone championing something and moving it along, it doesn't move. And, so, we can say, hey, village board, we need 24/7 food coverage, but
It's going to do what it has been doing. which is still nowhere. I don't think that have a problem.
Well, for me, I think the memo forces it on the agenda. It forces a decision. And that's was my plan. I don't know if it necessarily needs to be, foretold, hey, we're coming with this. But it might be strategically, maybe not to the full board, but you know, the two leaders of the village administrator and village president, having a specific letter just saying, hey, this is coming. And, you know, we're gonna look at all the options, but you said it right. There's only two real options. You either A, go to a referendum to add those positions, or B, you adjust your staffing and you take from current staffing, maybe, you know, you're not firing people, but through attrition, someone resigns, you're like, okay, we're not replacing that position, we're putting that money towards this, and then it becomes an adjustment of your services. That part, I'll be very frank, it goes against all my principles of working with staff because let's just say for sake of argument, you get a retirement at public facilities and they're like, you know what, instead of 5, 6 employees, we're gonna go down to 4. You guys are gonna have to do the work for 4. He's not gonna be like, oh, gee, great, thanks. That would be no different if somebody told us you gotta go down to satisfy somebody else. So that's gonna be a fight. And is it going to then, you know, be a conflict between us? I won't allow it. I don't think he will allow it, but just our staff systematically, you know, would that create some turmoil because now they've got to do, and they have a lot of work to do, a lot of work with less people, much like what we're doing. So
for me, you don't have the creativity. I give so much credit for creatively trying to do and work around what I think is inevitable. Unfortunately, it also, that creativity to get it done enables the rest of the village to not address the core issue.
right. Well, yeah.
You have to do what you have to do, but it's also enabling.
Well, and my concern, my biggest concern out of all of this is, okay, we're short-staffed, we're overworked, you know, when the big day happens and we are in a serious situation, and $200,000 is not going to satisfy any kind of lawsuit, whether it's internal from staff's family because the person got hurt or whatever, or external from, you know, village resident or somebody who visited our community, and all of a sudden there's a big lawsuit and $200,000 ain't gonna scratch it. You know, you're talking millions. And so that doesn't mean it's not gonna still happen, but shouldn't we do everything to prevent, you know, the fatigue? And the officer wellness is huge. I mean, it's in every profession, but it's definitely very huge in policing, and overworking staff and running from call to call. You know, some of us hardly ever get to lunch. Like you're just so busy, you know. And so today, I mean, it was Roger is on because he's off school. I mean, he had 7 calls, I had 6. So you do 13. So if we hadn't both been on, because I bring him in on day shift and it helps me be able to take care of all these other administrative stuff. We still handled 6 calls, 7 calls. I mean, if it would have been only 1, that would have been 13 calls. And so that's a lot of calls for an 8-hour shift. There usually isn't enough time for all of that. And so when is it going to become a bad day? And for me, it's become a safety issue now. It's a safety concern. And we're barely hanging fire now, and we're about to add all of that. And I don't even know what that's going to bring. I mean, we need to get 24-hour coverage.
I hear you, and it's frustrating because, again, does the average resident know that, know that there's a difference in a staffing model, funding, and constraints potentially between EMS, fire, and
No.
My point.
Not at all.
They're funded differently, they're staffed differently,
Right.
and they're in a different situation. There's
Well, you just think You just think, I mean, Holly's here, I think they have four full-time, right?
Which is awesome,
Right, and it was great. It's great for our community.
but we are going to get those people.
All three,
Part of it.
which, I
And
mean,
they're-
Justin and I have had good conversation about that. When is it gonna be where they will need to be staffed full-time? They're probably pretty close to that too.
It's
Where
all.
it's, you know, right. I mean, thank God, you know, EMS gets all the volunteers and stuff, but that's to the attestment to them, right?
The community just needs to be like we've been saying, the community just needs to be aware, needs to
Right.
be educated on what they need to know to make, if it came down to police, if it came down to fire, because again, money is. It's a factor, it goes hand in hand.
It's a prioritization of where funding goes within the current budget.
But we don't, but
Like
there's
something,
no $200,000 in the current budget, so it's not like we're
no,
like allocating this place and not this
The,
place,
the,
it's like we
the
got.
only way it would work for our current funding situation would be to take from one pot to pay for the other pot. That's the only way it's gonna work. Now,
But is
there,
that really,
there's,
that's not sustainable.
no,
Like if, you know, like you add 2 officers, but that's just for 1 year, right? Like,
Right.
We're gonna have to grow, all departments are gonna grow, because the village is gonna
right,
grow.
right. It won't be long before public facilities will need to grow. EMS is gonna, right? You're-
Thing, and Chief Tony's obviously highly tested and stuff, but it's different too when he goes to the board. This isn't just for
Yeah.
You know, almost everyone. I mean, even me, forget about village, even me and my professional job, like, if someone is saying, I mean, like, my first instinct is like, you're saying that,
Like, do you know, so there's already a disadvantage there with him being the baton carrier. And again, I'm mostly trying to speak to like why nothing, nothing has really happened over the, again, Chief Tony is amazing and well trusted, but it's a little harder when, he's the one saying, just as if Kane were like, I need to add a bunch of headcount, like, that is perceived weird. And a little bit the same thing. I mean, a little bit with me, not so much like on the board. Like I can go to the board and I can advocate strongly. And last budget season, I advocated for adding a police officer, or maybe it was the year before, because that was when we got the vote on like the next full-time hire going to police. But I also, it's hard for me to go on Facebook or whatever and like get the because I've done this before. Like when I first got on the board, it was a big mistake I made. Like I went into the what's going on in Cross Plains, and I was trying to give people, I was trying to educate people, I was trying to give them information on something. I put out a survey, I was trying to be on it, but oh my God, everyone on the board, everyone in the, it was like, you're being biased, whatever. So I'm at a disadvantage when it comes to like going to the public and saying, here's this thing that's needed. Here are the facts. People just go, oh, you're a board member. Of course, you want this. Similar to when Chief Tony goes to the board and says, I need a head count, or any department head, not Chief Tony specific. So we need baton carriers. And again, not just you, but that's going to be. I mean, there's no one here. It's got to be this group. Will obviously help as much as we can, but and then it's engaging other people and pulling them in. I mean, we'll look what happened with the hillside thing.
Yeah.
In 2 weeks' time. And maybe even less. A whole slew of people got very educated on our hill ordinance, which they had never heard of or thought of prior to that. Got very educated in the history. Oh, in 1988 it was passed because of this, with this math, and this was the reason. And we want people to get to that same place with our current budget, with how EMS is funded, how fire is funded, all that stuff. But we can't go on Facebook and start saying that kind of stuff. We need. That's what happened to the Hillside thing, right? A community member started it, and I think that's what's going to have to happen here on the like public endorsement side. Now on the other side, we can start to do other things. I think this letter is a really good start. I think forming a well-based problem statement. Here's the safety concerns, the call volume going up. Here's charts and graphs, and then even bringing that to the finance committee.
people thinking about it. Saying, if you're around these officers, what are some options? Those options would be good, but like if they need to start thinking about it and documenting it, then I think you start pulling more committees. That's how something like this builds. We have a lot of good
I hear you, Cameron, where I go, there's discretionary and non-discretionary items. This is a non-discretionary item. Public safety and staffing through tax dollars of our fleet is non-discretionary. It's not a pool that's discretionary. It's not a housing development that's discretionary. It's not. It's right up there with, do we need a new well water pump?
Sure, but all three of those things are still start operating outside. So that's again, there's like a was it one time?
So what would be a good example?
The problem is 80+% of our operating costs today is sales.
Yeah.
And that's and I don't remember the exact amount, but I know it was less than 100,000. So maybe it's ceiling. So what's 60 or 80,000 maybe something like that. So we have that amount that we could add into our operating costs, which again, 85% of the current operating costs are salaries.
So if you wanted to do something like really, really short term, that would be the, you know, taking from Peter and giving to Paul, like that, you know, which
that's no different than any.
Yeah, no, and I agree, but then, you know, Chief Tony's right. I don't think he can be the one to go to, the board and say, I need to steal from X person. You know, he doesn't want to be in that position. We don't want him to be in that position. So that's why we engage the finance committee, because they would be the ones who could like piece together that sort of recommendation.
Yeah, that's just again, whether it's business, public, or private, finance committees control that, and prioritizations placed on critical, essential, and non-essential, discretionary, non-discretionary. And my gut would tell me that there's an expectation that this is a critical and non-discretionary item, that we adequately staff our public safety via our police in this case. Other areas, I'm not going to name names, start to become discretionary. That's the prioritization of the finance committee based on the common voice and common sense. I feel to be prioritizing where staffing dollars are placed. So that's just me. That's my. So whether you have to take from somebody else, well, then you have to take from someone else. I've got Chief Tony taken. Chief Tony in his department that he's leading being deemed a critical asset and item that can't be compromised through discretionary staffing in other departments.
Yeah, that's where we differ from like private. Like you just said, there's no CEO here who can just say, "This is what you're doing."
The finance committee.
No, this is the politics and persuasion part.
This is, yes, the finance committee needs to be on board. The board members need to be persuaded. The public, to your point earlier, you were spot on. The public needs to be persuaded to persuade the board members, and so now I think 100% needs to be done. And I'm not saying this is an either or. I think it's all. It's like both. Like we got to get the letter, we got to get the memo, we got to get the public educated.
But on the data not resonated and it has not worked. So frustrating to see the creativity and the Groundhog Day conversation for the last 5-7 years. And if we didn't have Chief Tony, if the next chief that comes in may not want to work overtime, it may have a very different. How are we setting the next one up for success, let alone addressing all the things that you do? It's so I totally agree with you, but whatever we think we've done to date has not worked, and we need to do something different.
I think what at least we're talking about this whole discussion amongst all of us has been more than this happened. At least I was
120, whatever the earliest year you said was, but like I've been here on the board since 2021.
It's been a topic since 21.
But it's
Hasn't been big. Like we've been talking about, there hasn't been all of the facets that are.
Well, and part of the excitement, this type of groundswell from a public safety committee that volunteers to address the staffing issue for public safety for our police. Like that, like. That's something, you know.
because when it's
Why are we still discussing this? Right, can we just get you off? I mean,
You know, now that I've been, this is my 5th year as a board member, I've, gotten to see how that sausage is made. There's no CEO just to say, this is what you need to do, go, right? So, that comes to us
And
for
that's
persuading.
because in most cases, CEO will make the decision, or at least in the organizations, it's a leadership team, which is the board, and it's the finance committee, which controls the budget. So it's not a person to me, it is the group that's responsible for the outcome of holding whatever critical area. So, yeah.
So is there, so what could be the motion? I guess my plan is September 15th, I'm going to bring a memo to this committee, asking for it to be recommended to the village board. The memo will consist of my ask, the reason for the ask, and where the possible places where they could find money. Now, I'm only going to give them the 2 options, which is referendum or, staff changes. Staff somehow word it that, they may need to find that find it within the budget. It's only 2 options, either find it within the budget, go to referendum, and then put it on them. So September 15th is when we would meet again if we forego July and August. That gives me plenty of time to do research, make some conversation pieces with other communities, specifically Marshall, because they're in our county, they share the same kind of demographics, and we've been compared to them in the past. And then hopefully this committee would recommend that memo to be moved. And then September 28th, I would get it on the village board. It gives me a little time if there's some adjustments that this committee believes should be added or taken out or whatever. That's going to be my process on this. Now, I think you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
We do that.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, I can. Right, I can. Yeah.
Well,
You just can't respond to emails, but
I'm not trying to create meetings, but August.
I would agree, and some tactically, and September timeframe, I think is in the zone for.
Right.
The feedback is almost assuredly gonna be, how do we get this far in the budget process, I can already hear particular people saying, why is it coming up now,
So the timeline hasn't come out. The budget timeline supposed to come out here soon. So I think maybe then we could decide like once that timeline comes out, we can then decide.
No, because the timeline, I think we have, that's like baked into a policy or something.
Right. It can go all the way to December.
No, I think people boring August would probably be, I'm just trying to avoid you get into the hot zone of the budget where almost everything is, denied because of to be clear, I don't agree with it, but that just is historically.
So,
and I can help you because I know you need time, but I just
Can you have it ready for us?
yeah, I mean, I mean, it's super important. So I think,
I'd be willing to talk here.
I think we should sit as a group. We should sit as a group. Read emails.
I agree.
There's gonna be better communication amongst us.
so August 18th would be the public safety meeting.
I can't.
And then And then they would,
You said August 18th.
yep,
I don't remember the words too.
Yeah.
I would say that they are, just in case. Fair enough, that's bad.
so the village board meeting would be then the 24th.
So we would be on the 18th.
Yeah.
Yep.
I guess we are on discussion topic number 3. We can circle back to scheduling the next meeting in a moment. I guess personally, I don't think there's a motion we need to make on option 3. I think we've had a discussion, but I don't know. I'm not sure we need to.
No, there's-
I think we've had. I think we've had a discussion.
I'll just say discussion on next steps with that. And it's been, no motion has been made.
Yeah, thanks for allowing the discussion.
That's why I wanted to.
Yeah.
Do you try them? Are we there?
No, technically there. I don't know. No, it's not too tough. We have that email.
This one, which came in
But,
between us having meetings.
but I don't know if that, I mean, I was just gonna bring it up as part of just these future items or, because
We're not discussing that one.
I mean, I don't think,
We need to.
I mean, there's nothing, what is?
Inspections are good.
No, we're gonna bring that back up. Since I got it a little late, I couldn't really add it, so. But we can add that to the August agenda, so then we'll have the, that's an easy one. And then the memo, so we'll have the, spas, and then I'll add that back on. That's all that's left. I mean, we don't have any other talk. So spas,
Absolutely not.
I make that motion.
It's in the examples, my title.
so I'll put down discussion, possible action regarding a recommendation of a memo for new officer, and then spas. I'll put that as future agenda items. What is also included that I just brought the emails with, I don't think this is a discussion and topic item, but Jay is trying to put together a time capsule to be put in the new facility, and has asked that all committees consider putting something in there. So like police commission isn't meeting, so it does, so that's why I don't think it needs to be an item. I think we just talk about it, and maybe you guys have whatever ideas you might have, just email me an idea of what to put in the time capsule. That's why I include like an item or.
You can see the time too. It's, June 5th. And then before we even posted this agenda,
Right.
It was,
Right. No, it wasn't enough time, and I wouldn't schedule a police commission meeting to just do a time capsule thing. So I mean, they would probably think I'm silly, but so my plan was to get a hold of like you guys right here. We're here together, talk about time capsule stuff. So think about it, and maybe within this next week, I'll send you all an email reminding you of this. Get me, your ideas and whatever you think we should maybe put in there. And I'm gonna do the same thing with police commission. I'm gonna call them and then say this is what's coming as well, because they don't read their police commission emails unless we're working. So that's the only way I think we should address it. There's not time unless we're gonna do a real quick meeting. It just doesn't make sense. No. For that, no, I just think I'm gonna send out an email to you individually, not as a group, so there's no open meeting violations. just like I'm gonna do with the police commission. I'm gonna send them an email just reminding you of any ideas. And if there's multiple ideas, it's fine. We can put multiple things in there. So, and if there's no ideas, just respond, no ideas. So that way I know that you've contributed and you're not thinking. I'm thinking about it too. I just don't know what, like, right.
It's I haven't seen the tax design, but since I did a deep dive on this stuff, tax designs.
Right, the old patch design is available. Right, patch, right. I mean, we can, there's things that, so just ideas and we can give them a little box of bunch of things, right? If that's what makes sense. We have old badges, like from the star badges that they used to have, we can throw those in there. You know, our police officers also are gonna think of things. And police commission is the same, so they're, you know, this committee and police commission and us are all gonna be the same. So the same stuff. So I've got patches, I've got badges. You can just, hey, that's what we're gonna throw in there.
Okay. So, to schedule a meeting, in September.
Yep. So it would be August 18th.
Is that what we schedule?
All right.
I know.
Okay.
Take the day off of work just to be prior.
August 18th, and then that'll get the ball rolling.
Nielsen,
Yes.
I mean, obviously, like if she sees this, you know.
I got a message from Holly. She's off now. It says, how about the EMS agreement? I don't know what she means by that. We don't have to approve that.
I don't think it is, because the board.
Yeah.
has already approved it.
Is everybody happy?
Yeah, and if people want a quick update, the like major changes were basically there was a cap on their budget increase. And I can't remember the equation, but they're complicated because based on inflation or so that's ultimately
The
major change, and anything to exceed that ceiling. All of the boards, the village boards that are under the units that need to approve. So that's the only.
Was there language change? I knew the, because I said in all.
There's
The ability of one of the organizations. Well, do more development.
No, that was also invested. If someone wants to pull out or make adjustments to coverage, subtract. Specifically, there needs to be
2-year notice. So
it's got the same exact.
no, I'm sorry, a 1-year notice, because it's got the same exact window that like if someone, like if a whole community wanted to pull out of it, it's got the same time window. So those are the major changes there.
Okay, so I'll say no, nothing with the EMS agreement. It's already kind of moved. Okay.
I'll second that. Can we get a hurdle?
Those are the bit of exciting discussion.